Welcome back. We're continuing our Election Day coverage. We're talking to political experts to get their insight about what they are watching for as we come down the final stretch. We're joined now by Jason Perry. He's the director of the Hinckley Institute of Politics at the University of Utah. Jason, what an election season we have had, and it is finally coming into the final hours. Obviously, the big race everyone's talking about is that for U.S. Senate. Talk about why it is being talked about and seen on a national scale. Well,
it really is. We have people from national publications here tonight watching returns, hour by hour reporting on it. It's because of two reasons, really. One is this is just so unique. And it's telling us a story as well. We have a Republican versus an independent. And what does that mean, really? The story we'll tell tonight, whether or not this is maybe a little preview of what we might get across the country. We have not had a Democrat in that seat since 1977, when Orrin Hatch beat Frank Moss. We have been a reliably red state, sending a Republican to the Senate for a very long time, and we're watching because could that be the case again?
Yeah, just a fascinating race on so many levels. Democrats opted not to put forward their own nominee. Are they going to be open to doing that again in the future after what's played out here?
Well, I'm watching that very closely because what I want to see if the Democrats show up in this race, because that's going to tell us whether or not that should go forward. Some say that this is the greatest thing that has happened to the Democratic Party. They have a person that they're behind that is coming the closest that anyone has in a couple of decades here too. So that's what I'm watching for right now. If the Democrats can get behind Evan McMullin, not just in name and saying in support, but actually cast a ballot for him, we might see more of this in the future.
Yeah, Robert Gerke of the Salt Lake Tribune yesterday reporting that only 15% of the total turnout was of Democrats. So that's really low.
So it's totally true. We want higher turnout always, but that is going to be the big signal right there. If Democrats in Salt Lake County do not turn up, this is Mike Lee's race.
And where this is a heavy Republican turnout so far, you would say that looks good for the incumbent senator as well.
That's absolutely right. So Senator Lee's watching those returns as well. And if it still stays heavily Republican, particularly in Salt Lake County, which is where most of the Democrats are in the state, if he takes Salt Lake County, it's hard to imagine him not taking every county.
All right, the House of Representatives, we're not expecting any surprises tonight, but talk about why. The 4th used to be competitive. It's one that the Democrats could win. Why is Owens so far ahead of McDonald this time?
Well, some of it is about the candidates themselves, and you also have to look back historically at this race. Look at 2018, for example, when there was a high level of participation. They showed up for candidates. They showed up for issues on the ballot like medical marijuana. But the question is whether or not that will happen again. That particular district has changed in terms of demographics. It's changed to be more red, but also with redistricting, we may have seen the last time that race is competitive for quite a while.
Yeah, at least 10 years, right? Yes. Well, I guess it depends on what happens with the court case, though, as well.
We'll watch that, but for the next 10 years, it's set up to be a heavily Republican district.
All right, the state legislature. Give me one race you're keeping an eye on tonight.
Well, there are lots of interesting races, but I'm still watching in terms of lessons. Steve Handy's race against Trevor Lee right here. This is the ultimate test as to whether anyone is ever going to be able to successfully mount a write-in campaign here, given his name ID, given his connection with the community. I'm really watching that one closely because it's the lesson about who wins, but also some of us who watch politics are always wondering, can someone really pull this one off? Circumstances are the best it's going to be for him.
You were on my show on Sunday, and you said if Steve Handy cannot win this race, we probably, as you just mentioned, we probably won't see anyone win. But what are the components coming together that favor potentially him in this?
Well, so part of it is his name ID. He is very well known in his district. When he gets to the population, he's done very well historically. But remember, he decided he wasn't going to get signatures in the state of Utah, so he lost at convention. So that's a very small number of people who ousted him. And so you take into the fact that he's well known, and he's also got a lot of money. Tons of money has been poured into this race to help him do this. There's only one Steve. There's a voter, this is a voter intent state. So if people say Steve, spell it any way they want, this one will work out for him.
Yeah, he brought in a lot of money as soon as he announced that write-in campaign. Jason, really appreciate your insight. Thanks so much for being here.
Glad to be with you.